Hey, what's up, guys? In this video, I am going to answer a question that I'm curious as to your answers to as well, and that is East Coast versus West Coast county jails. Which one I would rather be in, given no choice, and the choice is between LA County Jail and Rikers Island in New York. All right, so I have not been to either one of these jails myself. I was locked up with some people who passed through Rikers, so I heard a couple things from them. My only knowledge of either one of these places is things that I've heard, things that I've read, and videos that I may have seen about them. Okay, so this is only my opinion. All right, it's not from experience, but in my feeling, I think I'd rather be in LA County Jail than Rikers. I think that it's a different mindset of place. Not to say that LA County is soft in any way, all right? I'm not saying that, but just the location where we are geographically makes a difference. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. First thing that comes to mind when I think of Southern California is sunny, warm, and pleasant, okay? When I think of New York and New Jersey, East Coast, it's cold, dark, and fucking miserable. And I don't know that that's going to apply to the jails and prisons, but it does affect the mood and character of people. And what I mean by that is, me having grown up, being born and raised on the East Coast, when I first moved out to Southern California years ago, I was confused. It was like a culture shock of the difference in how people acted, just their personalities. People were much happier out there, and I didn't understand it. Like, first day I was there, I went to the supermarket, I went shopping for food for myself, and some people were saying hello to me. Like, another man came up to me and said hello to me and tried to start a conversation with me. And the first thing I'm thinking was that this guy's a fag, this guy's gay, and, we're about to have a problem. But it wasn't the case at all. He was just being polite to me. And I realized in that moment that my mind had been so warped by my own life experience and where I grew up that here I am assuming bad things about somebody when all they're doing is being nice. They're just showing kindness to me and being polite. So that's what I mean by the difference in weather. It does affect how people are, generally speaking. Also, if you're in these jails, obviously if you have outdoor rec, it's completely different to be freezing your ass off in the snow-covered fucking fenced-in prison yard or jail yard versus being outdoor in warm, sunny, pleasant weather in California. So I think that that's the first thing that comes to mind. And the next thing that comes to mind is, in my own experience, the bigger concern I have in any institution that I go is not going to be about the inmates, about whoever's in there. I don't have a problem with that. It's the guards, the administration. And from my experience and from what I've read, what I've heard, it seems to be that along the East Coast, the guards are worse than they are on the West Coast as far as how they treat the people in these jails and prisons. I mean, they beat the fuck out of people. They kill people, literally kill people. They torture people. I'm sure it happens in jails all over the place, across the country, but it seems to be more prevalent on the East Coast. And again, I may be wrong. So for those of you who know better, please comment and let me know if I'm off about this. But another thing that comes to mind is the whole gang thing and how the institutions are run. All right, so on the East Coast, there are a lot of gangs. In the places that I've been, it's basically Bloods that rule, okay, because they have the numbers. All right, so the white people are the minority. In every place that I've been, they're a minority. They have the least amount of soldiers there. Among the Spanish-speaking people, there are a lot of different little gangs, nothing major like in Southern California with the Mexicans, where they have, one or two major gangs, and they have the majority in numbers in the prison populations. So I think it's a little bit different in the sense that you could survive the East Coast more likely without having to get involved in any kind of gang politics than you can on the West Coast. Not to say that it doesn't happen. A lot of people talk crazy like you have to join a gang and you can't survive. I don't believe that shit. Because how many fucking people on both ends of the country go through these jails and prisons and come out and have never joined a gang? So it doesn't make sense to think that you have to. Right? There are always exceptions. There are always ways around things. And not everybody who comes out of jail or prison is a gang member anywhere in the country. So if it's not everybody, then it makes sense that it doesn't have to be that way. It may be for the majority of the time, but not always, right? So, again, I think that my impression is that Rikers Island would be a worse place. I know it's very violent there. I know, shit goes down over very little things. Small things can turn into a big thing. And that's the case in any jail that I've ever been in. All right? It's always over dumb shit that people get hurt. Mainly things come down to respect. If anyone feels disrespected, if you yourself are disrespected, you must react in a violent way. That's just the way it goes. It's completely different than the free world, completely different than the streets, and exists their own set of rules that you have to live by if you want to stay in population and if you want to be respected and you want to be left alone. So, again, overall, guys, I think if I had the choice, I'd have to say that LA County Jail seems to be like an easier time than Rikers Island. However, me being from the East Coast and having gone through the system over here, that makes me feel that personally, I'd be better off in Rikers than LA County. So it's really not a yes or no clear answer on my end. But if I was a nobody and I wasn't, I hadn't gone through the system in any way, had no experience, I'd pick the West Coast Jail over Rikers all day. And I'm curious about your guys' opinion on this. This is the first time I've asked opinion of everyone out there, like a survey. I'm very interested because most of you guys I know have not gone through the system. There are a lot of you who have, but the majority have not. So just from what you've heard, first thought, what do you think? Would you rather go to Rikers Island or would you rather go to LA County Jail and do your time there? So I hope you guys enjoyed this and I look forward to the answers. Thanks.